Hey, welcome back. It's Monday. We're out of court this week. It was a flurry last week, and saw a lot of the comments. All of these cases that we put up last week were on the trial roster at the beginning of the trial roster. One that caught a lot of attention was Mr. Craig Anderson from Bucksport. He was first up on our trial roster, and he was supposed to start on Monday. He was charged with 7 different counts. One was trafficking fentanyl, one was trafficking cocaine, one was trafficking crack cocaine, possession of a machine gun, a weapon, use of a weapon during a violent crime, possession of 2 stolen handguns. So that's the 7 charges he looked to face time on. All of those top 3 would have been could have carried up to like 40 years. It was a lot of time. He ended up pleading guilty. Ton of comments. That was the mandatory minimum for what he was charged with, and it could have gone up to 40 years. One of the things, and you can't ever write a whole book because it's a press release. It's the small stuff. What you didn't catch on that is that wasn't Mr. Anderson's first offense. He had several priors. In addition to that, it was right at 500 grams of cocaine, which is a freezer bag. You know, it was 153 grams of crack, and get this, 30 pounds of fentanyl. It was enough fentanyl to kill everybody in the state easily. So that's in addition to the 2 stolen guns and the machine gun. That is why that sentence was very high. Now the good news is I don't think that they're doing this in Marion or some of the other counties. So if you want to set up shop and sell a bunch of dope, you know, I'm not the solicitor in Williamsburg or Marion or anywhere else. You can go there and do it. We could have written up more in the press release, but that's the rest of the story. That's another reason to watch here. Also, we had one further down, Christopher Jakes, 37 of Gallivan's Ferry. He pled guilty Monday morning to second offense, possession with intent to distribute cocaine, and second offense, distribution of crack. That is here in Horry County. David Beamer had that case, and he received 10 years for those sentences. They will run concurrent, which means they run at the same time. He'll have to serve about 8.5 of those years before he becomes eligible for parole. So he's 37. He'll be about 45, 46 when he gets out of jail. And hopefully that'll be it for the selling of drugs. In another courtroom, we had 2 trial judges last week. So the first up case there was Rodolfo Moreno, 45 of Conway. He did not plead guilty. He went to trial on these. This was a 2023 case. The minor victim. So there's 2 different kinds when you and I would say rape, what the statute calls it is criminal sexual conduct, or CSC. And then there's 2 different kinds of rape. The one, and they sort of track each other, but they're totally different. So one is rape first, second, and third. Rape first is use of a knife or a weapon to commit a sexual assault. The second is aggravated coercion. And the third is generally when a person is too drunk to consent. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the 10-second version. Tracking along that same way is rape or criminal sexual conduct, CSC, with a minor. And the minor doesn't have all of the gun stuff. It's got just the age of the victim. That's what's determinative of the amounts of time that you can get. So, or most of the time you hear the statutory rape, which means it is this way because of a statute, because of the age of the victim. The worst of that is statutory rape first degree, which means that the victim is younger than 11 years old. Could be down to 2, could be down to 3, it could be 10. 10 years old. The statutory rape second, which is what happened here, is the child is at least 11 but less than 14. And then the third, statutory rape third, is the child is 14 but less than 16. So obviously, with what I've just given you, this goes on for a series of years. It can happen a couple of times as a 13-year-old, and then it happens at 14-year-old. It could have happened the day before, but the age is determined. So he was found guilty after a trial. A jury of 12 found him guilty of 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct with a minor in the second degree and 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct in a minor with a minor third degree. And the judge gave them 15 years to run concurrent. Now, why? We always discuss, and I saw the comments, why didn't you do consecutive charges? I would have been fine with consecutive charges. But some of the logic that goes into it with the judge is what I was just explaining. It's the same act. The person could be 13 years old, 363 days, but less than 14. And then 2 days later or 3 days later, it's another series of charges because the age has changed. So most of the time, I'm not saying that this is right or it's wrong, I'm explaining. Most of the time, when it's a series of conduct that really doesn't have a break in it, you will see concurrent sentences. If I go out, I'm not saying this is right, but if I go out and I shoplift at Walgreens today, and I shoplift at Walgreens tomorrow, and I shoplift at Walgreens the next day, that's 3 different dates. But it could be that a judge would say, well, you know what? That is all the same pattern. Whatever caused him to shoplift on Thursday caused him to shoplift on Friday and Saturday. So I'm punishing at one time across the board. He'll serve it all together. Again, that's part of what happened. Sometimes they say, look, no, it's totally different. I'm going to stack one on top of the other. You serve the 15 years here, then you serve another 15, and you serve another 15. And that's fine too. That's in the judge's discretion. We did all we could do. We put it in front of a jury of 12 people. The jury found him guilty of all 4 charges, and then it was up to the judge, after hearing everything, to decide what the appropriate sentence was. I'll say this, the victim had asked for 15 years. So if that helps, that was the victim asking for 15 years. It wasn't the state, and that's probably what put that number in the judge's head. Still up to the judge, but that's what happened. So in the first courtroom, and we reported on this the other day, already, it was to start off with William Cody Parrott. He had already pled guilty on the week before. He got 26 years. We had asked for 30. He got 26. So that is the first up case in that courtroom. The second up case pled guilty. The third case on that trial roster pled guilty. And the 5th case on that trial roster pled guilty. The only one out of the top 5 was continued, was an attempted armed robbery, and I don't have that answer for you. But it goes to show you, for all of those people saying, I want a trial, when they get an opportunity to have a trial, most of the time it's a guilty plea. In the other case, Craig Anderson was to start off. It was a huge case. It may have been the most fentanyl that we've ever seen in this county. 30 pounds is a lot of fentanyl. It is very deadly, and 30 pounds is a lot. That pled. The second case on that trial roster was continued due to the defense attorney's health condition. The judge gave a continuance, but that was supposed to be a drug case. Number 3 on that trial roster was continued. Another health condition with a defense attorney. And number 4 pled guilty, got 5 years. We didn't report on it, but it was a guilty plea. And number 6, number 8, number 9, number 10, all of those pled guilty and got a good bit of time for that. And then the case 11, 12, and 13, all of them pled guilty. So a lot of people went to jail, a lot of people that you didn't even hear about. But those were the lead-off cases, and that's why you did hear about them. They were first or second in every one of those cases that I've told you about. Have a great week, and look forward to seeing you next week. Will be Memorial Day.